The email arrived at 3:47 in the afternoon, desert time. Subject line, let's be adults about this. 3 sentences. 13 years. Gone. My name is Marcus Cole. Staff Sergeant, 82nd Airborne. I was sitting in the dust of Kandahar, 4 months into my deployment, when my wife of 13 years decided she was done waiting. I read the email twice. Closed my laptop. Took a shower in the communal stall, got dressed for my shift, and said absolutely nothing to anyone. That night, I sent one word back. Understood. My bunkmate, Torres, noticed something was off. He glanced up from his book. You good, man? Yeah, I said. Just some stuff back home. He nodded. Combat guys know when to leave things alone. Her name was Diana. We'd met at a barbecue in the summer of 2010, me freshly back from Iraq, staying with my buddy Raphael in Spokane. She was finishing nursing school, full of fire and laughter. 8 months later, we were married. 8 months after that, I was deployed again. She used to say she was proud of my service. She just never quite understood it. Her father was a bank manager. Her brother, a pharmacist. No military in her family. When are you going to get a real job, she'd ask, not understanding that after 15 years, the army wasn't something I was doing, it was who I was. We bought our house in Spokane in 2014. 3 bedrooms, small yard, quiet street. My name was the only one on the VA mortgage, but I added her to the deed. That's what married people do. They share things. My parents died within a year of each other, Dad, heart attack while shoveling snow, Mom, lung cancer, though she'd never smoked a day in her life. They left me some money. Enough to pay off our student loans and keep a cushion. Diana and I were building something real. Or so I believed. I deployed 4 times during our marriage. Iraq twice. Afghanistan twice. Each time I came home, Diana seemed a little more distant. A little more restless. Like she was playing a role she'd quietly outgrown. I didn't sign up to be a military wife, she told me once, after I mentioned re-upping for 4 more years. I'm tired of being alone. I understood that. I did. But 6 months before my last deployment, things shifted in ways that went beyond loneliness. She stopped asking about my day. Started working late at the dental office. Hit the gym 3 times a week but never seemed to sweat. New clothes. New friends I'd never meet. New passwords on her phone. I didn't follow her. Didn't go through her messages. That's not who I am. My father taught me to think before I speak, to be sure before I act. But I wasn't blind. So I did what any soldier would do when they sensed something coming, I prepared. Quietly. I rented a storage unit across town. Put in my birth certificate, our marriage license, the house deed, military benefits paperwork. My grandfather's watch. My mother's silver. Then I opened a separate bank account and began diverting a portion of my pay, not enough for Diana to notice. Just enough so I wouldn't start from zero if things went south. The night before I deployed, she hugged me at the airport. Stay safe, okay, she said. Her eyes were dry. Like she was saying goodbye to a coworker. I should have known then. I should have known. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. 2 weeks after the divorce email, I was in the mess hall when my phone buzzed. A notification from our joint bank app. I set down my fork, opened it slowly. The balance read, $22.37. Our savings, $47,000 built over years of sacrifice, were gone. Completely. Transferred to an account I didn't recognize. My buddy Reyes glanced over from across the table. Bad news. I locked my phone. Nah. Just account stuff. That night I called the bank from the base phone center. Diana had been moving money for weeks. Small amounts at first. Then larger. The big transfers started the day after I deployed. I hung up and stood in the hallway for a long time. Around me, guys were laughing, calling their kids, their wives, their parents. Normal life, happening all around me. While mine burned to the ground. Torres found me there. Heard you looked like a ghost at dinner. What's up? I don't usually share personal things. But Torres had pulled me out of a bad situation in Kandahar once. I trusted him. My wife emptied our accounts, I said. Moved her boyfriend into our house. Sent divorce papers while I was on patrol. Torres didn't say, I'm sorry. Didn't say, you'll find someone better. He just asked one question. What's your plan? Not sure yet. He nodded. Let me know if you need anything. That night, I opened my laptop and logged into our home security system, something Diana had apparently forgotten I could access remotely. The cameras showed a strange truck in my driveway. A man I'd never seen walking my dog. Using my coffee mug. Wearing my Seahawks sweatshirt. And there was Diana. Laughing in the kitchen I'd renovated with my own hands during my last leave. Something shifted inside me. Not anger exactly. Something colder. Clearer. I closed the laptop and pulled out my phone. Made a list. Call Rafael, Army buddy turned attorney. Review VA loan terms. Check refinance documents Diana had mentioned, casually, last year. Secure my military pension accounts. Request emergency leave. I wasn't grieving anymore. I was planning a mission. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. At 0500, before my shift, I emailed Rafael. Subject line, need legal help. Discreet and urgent. His reply came an hour later. Call me. Secure line only. When I hung up from that call, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to threaten. I didn't even need to confront Diana. I just needed to wait. Watch. And let her own actions become the trap. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. 2 months later, I was back on American soil. I didn't tell Diana I was coming. I checked into a motel in downtown Spokane under a different name and met Rafael at a diner 10 miles outside of town. You look like hell, he said, sliding into the booth. Feel like it, too. He slid a folder across the table. Everything we discussed. Plus this. A separate page. Found something interesting when I dug into your finances. It was a refinance application. With my signature on it. Except it wasn't my signature. Not quite. The middle initial was wrong. The stroke pattern was off. Diana. Rafael nodded. She tried to use the equity to pull out $330,000. Your signature was required, the VA loan is in your name only. So she forged it. 3 months ago. I sat with that for a moment. Clear out the accounts. Forge my signature. Take out a loan against the house. Divorce me. Start fresh. It gets better, Rafael said. She listed her boyfriend, Kyle Merritt, as co-applicant. He's got a record, 2 DUIs and a fraud charge from 2019. I took a slow breath. What are my options? Several. But first you need to decide what you want. I didn't hesitate. I want what's legally mine. And I want her to understand that actions have consequences. Rafael smiled slowly. Then here's what we do. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The next day, I walked into the bank that had processed the refinance application. I showed the loan officer my military ID. My real signature on my driver's license. And the forged documents side by side. His face went pale. I'll need to report this immediately. I understand, I said. I've already filed a police report. That night, Diana texted me. Who have you been talking to at the bank? Kyle says someone was asking questions. I didn't respond. The next day, I filed paperwork at the county clerk's office contesting the refinance due to fraud, and registered formal notice that no changes to the property could be made without my presence. 2 days later, Diana called. I let it go to voicemail. Nathan, we need to talk. The bank called about the house. What are you doing? If this is about the divorce, we can discuss it like adults. Like adults. The exact words from her email. I still didn't respond. Raphael called that afternoon. They've frozen the refinance funds. But there's more, your wife's boyfriend has been driving your truck, the one still in your name. He got pulled over this morning on a suspended license. They impounded the vehicle. A pause. He also had something interesting in the truck. Prescription pads from Diana's dental office. They weren't blank. I closed my eyes. She's been stealing prescription pads. Looks that way. Police are investigating. This was getting bigger than I'd expected. Part of me wanted to call Diana. Warn her. Old habits. 13 years of trying to protect someone. Then I remembered the security camera. My house. My dog. My coffee mug. My sweatshirt. I let it go. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The bank fraud investigator's name was Thompson. Short man, tired eyes, coffee stain on his tie. This happens more often than you'd think, he said, spreading documents across the desk. Spouse deploys. Other spouse sees an opportunity. He turned his computer screen toward me. A list of transfers out of the refinance account, all going to someone named Daniel Voss. Who's Daniel Voss? Not my department. But you should ask your lawyer to subpoena these records. Raphael called me back within the hour. Daniel Voss is a real estate agent. Specializes in quick sales, cash deals. And here's the interesting part, he's done business with Kyle Merritt before. 3 transactions in the past 2 years. Each time, a woman's home gets sold well below market value to one of Voss's clients. Merritt gets a cut. Then he moves on. The air went out of the room. This wasn't just Diana leaving me for some guy. No, Raphael said carefully. This was an operation. And you're not their first target. I found 3 other cases. Military families. Every one. I rubbed my face. It didn't matter anymore whether Diana had been a willing participant or a pawn. Other families, other soldiers who deployed trusting that their homes were safe, had been gutted by these men. I've already contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, Raphael said. This crosses state lines, involves military personnel and VA loans. They're very interested. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Diana texted again that night. Marcus, please call me. The bank is saying something about fraud. Kyle got arrested for driving your truck. I don't understand what's happening. I stared at the message. Then I typed 3 words. Who is Voss? 3 dots appeared. Stopped. Started. Stopped. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. $14,600, I wrote back. Multiple transfers. House listing. 10 minutes of silence. It's not what you think. I turned off my phone and went to sleep. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. 2 weeks later, I got a text from Diana. She wanted to meet at Riverfront Park. We need to talk in person. I showed it to Raphael over breakfast. Don't go, he said. I won't. But I want to know what she's doing today while she thinks I'm on my way to meet her. We drove to the house at 9:30 and parked across the street. At 9:45, Diana's car pulled out of the driveway and headed toward the park. 20 minutes later, another car arrived. Real estate company logo on the door. Daniel Voss stepped out. Kyle came out to greet him. They talked in the driveway, then went inside. Should we follow? Raphael asked. No need. I pulled out my phone and opened the home security app. The interior cameras were still live. Voss was in my living room, taking photos. Kyle was pointing at features of the house. I turned up the volume. Voss, should list by end of the week. Got a buyer already. Cash offer, as usual. Kyle, how much? Voss, we list at $470. They offer $420. Everyone's happy. Kyle, what about the husband? Voss, waving his hand, military guys are all the same. They make noise, but they've got deployments. Responsibilities. He'll take a settlement just to make it go away. I turned to Raphael. He was already recording. I forwarded the live security feed to FBI agent Nadia Patel with a short message, "Happening now." 30 minutes later, our house was surrounded by federal vehicles. I watched from down the street as agents led Voss and Kyle out in handcuffs. Agent Patel called. Got them on tape discussing the fraud scheme. Conspiracy, wire fraud, attempted sale of property under false pretenses. We'll need your formal statement. A pause. Mr. Cole, your wife just arrived at the scene. She's distressed. I looked down the street. Diana was standing on our lawn, both hands pressed over her mouth, watching federal agents carry boxes of documents from our home. What happens to her? I asked. That depends, Patel said, on what she knew. And on what you want. I watched Diana for a long moment. 13 years. Good years, at the beginning. I just want what's right, I said. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The federal case moved quickly. Kyle Merritt and Daniel Voss both took plea deals, implicating each other and several other conspirators in what turned out to be a three-state operation targeting military families. Diana maintained she'd been manipulated, that Kyle had convinced her I was hiding money and planning to leave her with nothing. Maybe that was true. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, she agreed to a settlement, full restitution of the stolen funds. Forfeiture of any claim to the house or my military pension. A signed confession about the forgery. In exchange, I didn't press charges. The divorce was finalized 6 months after that email from Kandahar. No fault. Clean break. All things considered. On the day the last paperwork was signed, Agent Patel called. Kyle Merritt was sentenced today. 8 years, fraud, conspiracy, identity theft. Voss got 12. She paused. There's something else. We found evidence of 11 other military families they targeted. Your case helped us build the pattern. Those families may get their money back because of you. After we hung up, I sat on the porch of my rental apartment watching the last of the daylight leave the sky. I thought about those other families. Other soldiers who'd deployed thinking their homes were safe. I hadn't planned on bringing down a multi-state fraud ring. I just wanted what was mine. But sometimes things work out in ways you don't expect. A year later, I sold the house. Too many echoes in those walls. I used the money to buy a small cabin outside Missoula, Montana. 2 bedrooms. 10 acres. A creek running behind it. No neighbors for miles. I took early retirement from the Army. 20 years was enough. I'd given enough. Got a German Shepherd. Named him Scout. Started doing carpentry work for locals. Nothing fancy, but it kept my hands busy and paid the bills. My pension covered the rest. One evening, I got a letter from a woman in Fort Worth. Her husband was in the Navy, deployed when Merritt and Voss tried to run their scheme on her. The FBI had given her my name. You don't know me, she wrote. But you saved our home. Thank you for fighting back when it would have been easier to just walk away. I read it twice. Then pinned it to the refrigerator. Some days, when the silence gets too loud or the memories too sharp, I look at that letter. And I remember that something good came from all of it. As for Diana, I heard she moved back to her hometown in Oregon. Working at another dental office. Starting over. I don't hate her. Don't feel much of anything, honestly. She made her choices. So did I. The last time she texted, it was a single line, "I never meant for things to end this way." I thought about it for a long time. Then I put down my phone, called Scout in from the yard, and went to bed. There was nothing left to say.